La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today I'm going to be talking about Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 1, No Weddings. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm in the parking lot, y'all. I'm so sorry. I had to do this video while I'm running errands because if not, I wouldn't be able to get it out. And I'm trying to remain a consistent queen, okay? Married at First Sight. We tired. We know you about to stretch these weddings. You probably gonna try to make 5 episodes out of this wedding. The most exciting thing about this episode was the preview for next week. Why do y'all do this? Because I know y'all don't be getting good views on that first episode. I know you don't. Y'all, we already know what it is at this point. We can't take this show too seriously. We can't take the matches too seriously. Clearly, you know, a lot of these matches are just for drama purposes. I'm still going to critique. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to critique where I see fit. We know at this point, on season 16, the matches just ain't matching, and it was done that way on purpose. Half the people are in their mid to late 30s, and we still have that childish mentality. Deep sigh. So first of all, let's start off with Dominique and McKinley. Dominique is 25, and I'm sorry, I get codependent vibes with her mom. She has to call her mom while she at work, on the way home from work. There's nothing wrong with being close with your mom or even being best friends with your mom, but I just hope that her mom is not the type to try to get in the middle of her relationships. And I hope she's able to be independent and stand on her own in this relationship. You know what I'm saying? Without having to always get advice or lean on her mom for direction. According to her mom, in the past, she's chose people who just were not serious. But you know what? I get very unserious vibes from Dominique. I get very unserious vibes from Dominique, so that does not shock me. And her mom is the one who actually signed her up for this show. Did your mom convince you that you were ready? Because I don't know, I just don't feel like Dominique is ready to be married. Later on in the episode, I believe Nicole said that she seems like she's too young. I would have never got married at 25. I'm gonna be honest, me myself at 25, I was not ready to get married either, but there are some people that are. She already said she had a fear of commitment. Why would you think a marriage would change that? That's an immature way of thinking. She claims she's an old soul. I don't get old soul from her at all. Like, not at all. Maybe we need to get to know her a little better. When she told her friends that she was getting married at first sight, they were very excited for her, but they gave her some pushback on, you know, limiting her girls' nights. They give me party girls all day and night long, you know, party to the break of dawn. I see that from them, okay? And they were really upset when they told her that she's gonna have to limit the girls' nights. If she gets married, she's gonna have to be with her husband. That's just, it is what it is. At least she herself knows that. And then when they get to the bachelorette party, girl, she was doing a little bit too much for me with those strippers. I mean, you could tell she was a pro. This was not her first rodeo. But I don't know, she was just flirting with one of them, just like, girl, it looked like y'all was about to exchange numbers at the end of the night. It was a little, do you converse that much with strippers? I thought strippers were supposed to dance and do their job and leave. Why are you sitting up here having full conversations with them? Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about McKinley. So she's matched up with McKinley, who's 34. He's almost 10 years older than her. He's an introvert and he's shy until you get to know him. He said that he dropped out of college and he started a cannabis business. He said he's very different from his siblings because his siblings got master's degrees and they're married with families, and so I'm guessing he feels it's the right time in his life for him to be married. I do feel like he is a bit more matured. I do feel like he's a bit more ready to be married. He said his parents were married for 45 years. He thought he found the love of his life. They were together for 2 years, and then she popped out that she was engaged to somebody else. And I know that was heartbreaking. I cannot believe that. Some of these stories that I hear, I'm like, how could you be so callous and cold to somebody you've been with for 2 whole years? Maybe she got tired of waiting. Maybe she wanted you to propose and you never did. But at least break up first before you... Clearly, you was playing around with somebody else if they didn't propose to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand how that can be heartbreaking to him. Hopefully, he has worked past that. I would love to know how his real family feels about him getting married at first sight, because we really didn't see any reactions from them. So I can't wait to see their wedding day and also to see how they react to him married a black woman. I just, y'all, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little vibe from it, but I could be wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong, okay? Let's go ahead and move on to Nicole and Chris. Nicole is 32. She's half Italian, but girl, you could have fooled me. She act full Italian. She gives me Jersey Shore all day. She got the attitude. I got those vibes from her from the jump. She said that her parents divorced. In relationships, she never acknowledges red flags. So that's a red flag in itself. So when she sees something wrong in a relationship, she still tries to force the relationship just to have one. That sounds like a recipe for disaster on a show like this. Sounds toxic and very unhealthy. She's one of those people that love to talk. She's a motor mouth. She admits to it. This man gonna have to say pineapples to get her to stop talking. She was licking abs at the bachelorette party. Like, y'all be acting a fool at bachelorette parties. Like, I'm sorry, that's not my cup of tea. And no shade to people that have wild bachelorette parties, but I could never. Like, I don't know this man. Like, I don't know if you bathed or not. Like, what are y'all thinking? Like, I just cannot. So then we get to Chris, and he's 32. Chris is a hopeless romantic. Child, Chris was taking me out with these bad impressions. Please do not do any more impressions. Let that go. I don't know who told you. You remind me of those people that go on American Idol and thought they could sing, but they couldn't with these impressions, okay? I don't know who told you was good at impressions, but they lied to you. Stop it, okay? Because it throws me off every time you do it. He says he's a nice guy and he's selfless, but to me it comes off that he's a people pleaser and you too nice. You let people walk all over you. So I could totally see Nicole running over you, steamrolling this relationship and running it. I totally get it. But you know what? That might actually work for him, because he gives me the type of guy that will fall back and let the woman run the relationship. But he said in the past he chose people that took advantage of him. He said that his parents divorced early in his life, and later on when he's talking to the men, he told them that, you know, the men were having conversations about when's the last time you did the nasty, okay? A lot of the men, it was very recent, but for him it's been a whole year, and a lot of people are judging him for that. And I'm just like, maybe he's just fully committed to this process, or maybe he's not someone that likes to give his body away easily, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't appreciate the judgment. And he also, later on in the episode, he said he deleted all his apps. I totally appreciate that. Like, he's taking this seriously. That's the way everybody in the process should be acting. I don't know why he was receiving any pushback on it. Just goes to show you how some of these people are. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to Jasmine and Aries, because he's one of the people that was giving pushback. Aries is a walking red flag. He's 39 years old and he still acts like he's in his early 20s, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about career, and I'm not talking about anything other than how he moves in relationships, even though he's never really truly been in one, a serious one. The thing about Married at First Sight, they always have to include a black guy that is the player type. Olajuwon, Chris. But I'm seeing a pattern that y'all are developing. Y'all are doing this every season, and y'all are including a black guy with a bunch of bravado, a guy that basically, let's just be honest, is promiscuous, definitely doesn't deserve to be anybody's husband, right? And y'all still choose them because y'all know it's gonna be good TV. Y'all gonna choose a strong-willed black woman to be paired up with him, and a lot of times she's gonna be considered the bad guy because she ain't gonna put up with his bad behavior. Or you choose someone who will, and is this long-suffering wife like Paige was to Chris. And I don't know how this is gonna play out, but I already don't like it. He was raised by a single mother, and his father, his life was taken at an early age. And so he never really had a father figure or seen a good example of marriage, which, look, I do have sympathy for him on that, right? But we can't allow that to, you're almost 40, you can't allow that to be an excuse for you for the rest of your life. He said he was picky. He was always looking for this imaginary perfect woman, and he would romanticize what he thought marriage was and what relationships were. And then he had to realize that he's not perfect, so he tried to let his guard down and drop the standards. And then once he opened up to a woman one time, he got ghosted, even though he said basically it was his karma for always ghosting women. But he spent the next decade with his guard up because of it. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for you because the male ego is fragile? How about exploring the root as to why you're so quick to cut women off without any notice? Take accountability for that. And possibly maturing. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't hear too much of that. Maybe they could have cut that out, but I didn't hear him talk about how he learned from it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, one woman broke your heart, and now every other woman has to pay for it. Sounds like you need therapy. And it's also giving Kevin Samuels supporter. I ain't really got no solid proof just yet, y'all, but that's what it's giving me. We gonna see. But one thing that really stuck out to me, his cousin a real MVP to me, because she told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you can't stand the heat, then get out the kitchen. She was 100% honest and said he is not ready to get married, and he is not ready to be a good husband. You ain't never been committed to nobody. And she put him all the way on blast, and she was not playing. Straight up told him that he do not need to do this. Personally, I feel like he should have took her advice, because I feel like that's the biggest red flag of them all. Your cousin sitting up here calling you out in front of everybody, telling you you're not ready. I ain't gonna lie. In the past, Woody, when he told his family he was getting married at first sight, they told him he wasn't ready, and they were completely wrong, right? I feel like Woody is an anomaly. I feel like if your family telling you you don't need to get married, I feel like it's a good reason why they're telling you that, especially if they're doing it on national TV. He said the typical thing that everybody says on this show, well, marriage is gonna force me to commit. I'm sorry, that's a red flag for me. And then when he met up with the men and they started talking about what the last time they did the nasty, he said it had only been 2 weeks, and basically the night before he found out that he got chosen, that was the last time he did it. To me, that shows you're not fully committed. You still stuck in that Playboy lifestyle. And then later on, he said he's not getting rid of his apps, he just putting them on snooze. So that means you're not fully committed. That means you're not trying to be in this for the long haul. Because why are you only they should be deleted. You get married. What's the point of having dating apps if you're getting married? It's like he was trying to clown Chris for being so invested when you should be just as invested. Sadly, I feel so bad for this girl. They matched him up with Jasmine, who is 32. And she is a beauty queen, former beauty queen with many titles. She's a beautiful woman. Now she's a cheerleading coach, and she's very acrobatic. We saw her doing, you know, all types of twists and flips. I'm like, go ahead, girl. Very athletic. She wants someone who's fully committed, because she's been in relationships in the past, and the men basically played with her time, and they never wanted to actually marry her. I feel so bad that she got matched up with this man who don't know the first thing about commitment. She says she's a workaholic, and that's been a problem in the past. So that's something you need to work on if you want to be married to someone who, you know, who's worthy. But yeah, you're gonna have to commit some time to a relationship. And she's very close with her family. Her family is actually really funny. I just hope they don't get too involved in her relationship, even though this guy is the worst. I don't mind them speaking up on that. They said that she never dated men on her level. So she seems like a really nice woman. I just hate the fact that she's matched up with who she's matched up with, child. Let's go ahead and move on to Gina and Clint. Gina is 35. Gina and these lips. Gina dissolved them. I don't know too much about, you know, fillers and all the injections or whatever, but I know this is not natural. I just think you should dissolve them. You're a pretty woman. You don't need them. Please dissolve them. Like, they're distracting. But she describes herself as a spontaneous risk taker. She did a spur of the moment trip to, I believe, Italy. She owns a hair salon, and I believe she's opening up another one. And she's putting all her time into it. She's kind of like a workaholic. That's kind of like a trend with these women. They're kind of like workaholics. She says she grew up with a single mother, and she never really saw successful marriages, and her last relationship didn't work because he wasn't as ambitious as she is. So she needs someone who's going to be comfortable with her, you know, being a very ambitious woman. She said she had never seen a male stripper in her life, but girl, you was acting very experienced. You was all taking shots and stuff off of him. I was like, you showed dove right in there for somebody who wasn't used to it. Anyway, let's move on to Clint. He's 40. Y'all, he's giving me Mitch vibes already. I hate to say it. I feel like he's more charismatic, and I feel like he gets a lot of women. I feel like that's the big difference between him and Mitch. But Outside of that, he should have never been chosen either. I believe he's a player as well. He describes himself as adventurous as well, so they have that in common. He said that he lived with someone for 4 years, but they ended up breaking up because she said she was changing herself too much for him. Okay. He seems, I don't know, he just seems like he's set in his bachelor ways. I don't know why he's on this show. Like, do you just feel like it's time, like you're 40 and it's time to get married? He also gives me the type to not want to settle down in one place, and clearly she does. If she has a hair salon, like, she's gonna want to be settled in Nashville to run her business. So, and he's the type to want to sell and do all this. So I feel like that's another way they're not compatible. And then he's somebody else that said he did the nasty just 2 weeks before he got chosen. So he doesn't get me serious. And when he was talking about whether or not they were going to do it on the honeymoon night, he thinks they're going to do it just because he want to do it, basically. And I'm like, you better watch that. You better watch yourself with that, because if she don't want to do it, she don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, I could see why women are attracted to him, but I just don't think he's serious for marriage. I really don't. Even at his big age of 40. You don't want to be married, don't get married. Don't play with this woman time. And I know y'all seen the previews, so that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. Finally, let's talk about Kristen and Shaquille. Shaquille is 31. When he was a kid, he was involved in a tragic accident. He was thrown from the car and he was wrapped around a barbed wire fence. As a child, I can't imagine how traumatic that was, because it wasn't just him. It was basically him and his whole family that were thrown from the car. He didn't really say what happened to the rest of his family. Because of that, he wasn't able to do sports in school from the 1st to the 8th grade. So he was kind of forced to just keep his head down in the books. And so you could tell that he's very resilient. He's very resilient. He also said that he's a man of faith. And I can only imagine after going through what he's been through. In spite of all that he's been through, he's made it on the other side. He's a successful, I believe he's a professor or he works in education. He's very successful, focused on academics. He's also someone who's a workaholic, always busy, never really has the time. And he said he doesn't really have the time to focus on love, and that's why he signed up for this show. He said he's only been in long distance relationships. I find that as a red flag. I feel like the people on this show who have said they've only been in long distance relationships, when they get married, they usually don't work. The first one that pops in my head is Jasmine, who was married to Michael. People who are used to those relationships have romanticized expectations of what they think a relationship is, and a lot of times they want it their way. You know what I'm saying? They don't really like to compromise. When he told his loved ones, they were very skeptical and they didn't really seem like they were all that supportive, but he claims that God gave him a sign and told him that this is what he should do. Don't put it on God now. If God didn't really tell you that, don't put it on God now, okay? I hate to say this, but something is off about him. I can't put my finger on it just yet, but something is off about him. Like when he was talking to the other men, one of the guys were talking about how they, you know, he doesn't mind looks. You know, if she's a 7 out of 10, that would be just fine for him. He was like, I want a 10 out of 10. And it's like, you dress really nice. You very clean cut. You look good. As far as appearance, you're very manicured, okay? Even facially, you're not bad looking. But you don't need to be out here talking about, I need a 10 out of 10, demanding a 10 out of 10. That's all I'm gonna say. You're not the one to be demanding that, okay? Let's go ahead and move on to Kristen. She is 32, and she gives me very spoiled princess, and she's very picky. Immediately, this is not for you. Anybody who comes on here picky and calls himself picky, why are you on Married at First Sight? Why are you letting someone else choose your partner? I can already tell she wasn't gonna like him. Unless he looked like Morris Chestnut, unless he looked like Michael Ealy, unless he looked like, you know what I'm saying? Unless he was a 10 out of 10 looks wise, I knew she wasn't gonna like it right when she said she's really, really picky. And it's other people on here, like she kept saying it throughout the episode how picky she was, how picky she was. And I already knew she wasn't gonna like him. She also said she didn't want a bald-headed man. Y'all knew what y'all was doing. Y'all be doing this on purpose. Once we get to a certain age, I have to say this. once we get to a certain age, we just gonna have to accept that maybe the man of our dreams is gonna be bald-headed. Would you rather for him to be holding on to an Uncle Phil hairline? A lot of men have male pattern baldness. It is not uncommon. I'm gonna need for y'all to expand your horizons a little bit when it comes to that, because even if you meet him with hair, you marry him with hair, he could lose it. So I feel like we have to let go of some of those expectations, especially when we start getting older. Like, come on. Anyway, but you like what you like. I can't force that on nobody. Anyway, she has a master's in business, she has a bachelor's degree, and she has a real estate license, and she wants someone who is just as ambitious. So at least they match on that level. Her mom just wants the best for her. Her mom wants her to find love, and you know, she wants her to be in a loving relationship. Her mom kind of reminded me of Angela Bassett. Y'all let me know. Did y'all see that? She threw me off a little bit when she told the experts how many inches. Yeah, down below, she told them how many inches she wanted her man to have. I was totally thrown off by that. Like, do you want them to survey him for you? Like, what type of, what? At the bachelor party, she was all up in the air with the stripper. Dominique was talking about how she, you know, likes girls' nights out and she likes to party. Kristen was in her confessional talking about, girl, you got to cater to your man. You got to rub feet. Are you going to be rubbing Shaquille's feet? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Because I do not see that in y'all future. Then we get to the wedding day. I love the olive suit that he chose. I thought that looked really nice on him. I like the color and everything. Once he got with the groomsmen, he broke down before the wedding because he said he's fighting a battle. I want to know, what is this battle that you're fighting? I really needed to know that. Like, he never said what it was. Is it because he was alone for so long? I don't know. But that kind of like, I don't know. That was kind of a red. Not that he was crying, but of the battle. What is the battle? What is the battle? And is it serious enough that you need to not be trying to fight these demons while you're married to somebody else? The groomsmen were comforting him, and then when he saw his grandmother, he broke down again. And I'm just like, I always get a red flag when men be crying a little bit too much, because it reminds me of Zach. Zach, who was married to Michaela, because he did all that crying only to do all that cheating. And then we get to Kristen. She's a gorgeous bride. She had some behind the scenes drama. Her dad didn't show up because he didn't want to get tested for C19. I would have been furious if my dad did not show up to my wedding to walk me down the aisle because you don't want to get tested. Not because you don't want to get the poke, but because you don't want to get tested for everyone else's safety. Like, how selfish can you be? I was so over it. I was over him at that point. And then her mom wasn't answering her calls, but she ended up showing up, so it's all good. Then her friends was telling her, give her a sign if you like him or not. She was gonna give him eyebrows if, you know, like, if she don't like him, she was gonna look a certain way. And then if she didn't like him, she was gonna let him kiss her on the cheek and not on the lips. And y'all, in the preview, she completely curved him. Like, completely. Like, he was coming in for the kiss and she immediately gave him cheek. And I'm like, we couldn't even got the first ceremony out. We couldn't even got the first ceremony. Lifetime, you playing games. I was so over it. Like, the preview, that little piece of the preview was better than this entire episode. We didn't need all this drawn out, unnecessary details, okay? Y'all can sprinkle that in on the wedding day. Anyway, y'all, let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.